now you're back at your home setup, so you got the ability to make the good tunes,
I
huh?
am. Spreading the good vibes, spreading the good tunes, you know?
So are you excited for today's show? We'll be talking about the cool cats. Our featured guest won't be on until the second hour of the show. So in the meantime, we'll do what we always do, which is cover what happened over the last week in the Futureverse. And additionally, we would like some community members to come up and join us on the space as we discuss cool cats. And we're also open to talking about, any number of topics relating to the Futureverse or even NFTs or Web3 in general. So, Sam, let's go over the week that was. There were a number of things that happened this week, again, as per usual. One of the things that happened was the release of the Probably Nothing, which is the monthly newsletter that the Futureverse puts out. And we'll go over some of the items that were in that. And we're also going to talk about, I think, the major item of the week, which is an update to the Futureverse white paper. And that's also something that the community might want to discuss. And if anyone wants to talk about anything in relation to that, please do request to come on stage. Sam, should we cover some of the smaller items first? Like the Next Legends locker room update? You want to cover that?
Yeah, I believe they dropped their latest edition of their updates. Can you guys hear me okay? I think I switched mics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you sound great.
Cool. Yeah, they dropped their latest update recently. I mentioned the locker room is coming here soon, so excited for that. That'll be kind of the first experience for TNL. As well as it sounds like, I believe, bridging will be announced here in the near term, so we'll get to bridge root, or we'll get to bridge boxers for root, so excited to see that come about. And yeah, I think that's most of the TNL stuff. Let me go back through the article though in the meantime.
Let me discuss another smaller item, which is an ongoing competition that started this week by Adam Car Club, and it's called Rolling Art. I will post a tweet about that, so if anyone wants...
the first tweet posted. I posted that one and then the Futureverse update to the white paper. It's the first pinned tweet here.
Awesome. So it's already pinned, and it's an ongoing competition for anyone that wants to create some art, and you can win one of 3 prizes. It's nothing big, but it's just, it is what it is, right?
I think Big Hino, he had the coolest submission that I've seen so far. With the rolling wheel with the goblin on it. He's kind of like on a hamster wheel looking running track. Looked great. So shout out Big Hino.
I guess the idea of the competition is to make some type of art that rolls.
Yeah, basically something with a wheel.
Anything with a wheel?
Yeah. You can get creative. But on the
there don't seem to be a lot of rules. It's like very open to any type of interpretation.
Yeah, I think it's pretty open from my understanding. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think Big Hino's got my vote, at least, even though I don't have a vote in this. His was great, so.
Okay, tell us about the Next Legends locker room update.
Yeah, so it sounds like the pro boxers will be getting first access to the locker room, and will be in the coming weeks. It'll be your home, kind of like your home base for customizing your boxer's look, identity, and playing with AI. And those features will be staggered over the coming months, so it'll kind of be a, an MVP release and then ongoing features coming after that. Sounds like you'll be able to change all kinds of things. The hair features, the scars, just different aspects of your boxer, which is cool. So definitely some customization going on there. in the midterm, so that's awesome. What else have we got here? Those are kind of the main highlights. There's also that workout bike that was from, it might have been a couple months ago, I think. That was really cool. That was community voted on, so I thought that was nice seeing that, the animated bike there. But yeah, just excited to see the boxing gym. Very cool upcoming release that we got going on.
Alright, so now maybe you should kind of steer clear of this conversation because you're an employee of Futureverse versus I'm just a community member. And this next topic is maybe something that employees want to steer clear of. So it's an update to the Futureverse white paper, where I guess the major takeaways that I had was they changed the allocation such that double the previous amount is now allocated towards community rewards. They say that the increase is meant to encourage community participation in building out the root network ecosystem and to ensure that both new and long-term token holders can benefit from the reward system. And additionally, they introduced something called the Future Score system, which, on topic for today's spaces, which is about cool cats, seems quite similar to something that was launched in the cool cat world a few months ago, which is cool scores. And now we have something called Future Score system, where the basic idea is you can get rewarded both for owning NFTs from the Futureverse ecosystem, as well as for participating in various activations. It's kind of like a proof of work where when you participate, you get some type of credit for participating, which is, I think, probably designed as a way to shield from regulations in terms of not wanting to be thought or accused of the root token being a security. So it seems like that is one of the goals, and another goal is to reward participation. I think there's a lot of conversation that we could have about this topic. I think there are some people that could read the changes and say this is a positive thing, and others that can read the changes and think this is a change that I didn't want. So we're very open to having an open discussion about that. If anyone would like to do that. Additionally, I did a lot of reading about the Cool Cat ecosystem today in anticipation of the space, and I am not an expert or particularly knowledgeable in all the background, but I tried my best to learn as much as I could about it and present my findings, though I think it would be helpful if we had some experts or some people that were more familiar to fact check me as I go, and so that I don't accidentally spread either misinformation or miss some of the context of some of the items that we'll be discussing about Cool Cats.
I've invited some people to speak. If they want to jump up, feel free.
I know you have been participating in the Cool Cats ecosystem for a bit. A word from you?
Yeah, I jumped in, I think, a bit before Journeys. I got pets, or I had I think 4 pets at a time, but nothing crazy. I just hopped in, wanted to check it out, and I wanted to check out the UX and UI and like how I believe it's not Cooltopia, but it's the marketplace where you can go on quests and stuff like that. And Merv's up here as well. He can give us kind of the lay of the
Welcome,
land.
Merv.
Yo, hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me up here, and thanks for making the time and the space for Tasty and Bun to get up here too. Really stoked to hear from them. I just know they're just like really stoked on being able to give back to the community, especially in terms of like knowledge and sharing like what's going on in our ecosystems. Oh, I just want to give a shout out to Shay too. I actually met Shay at our meetup in New York just like last week. She was really dope. Really sweet to see you guys got some solid community members and in the Futureverse. But yeah, go ahead, don't mind me. If you guys got like any questions about the Cool Cats ecosystem you want cleared up, I'm here to. I'm just practicing guitar right now, so I'm just listening in.
Yeah. Let's get some jams going in a bit. Yeah, I just think it's great, like merging of minds and communities. It's definitely a positive thing for both of us, and really kind of just shows what it means to have an open metaverse, right? And collaborate across different worlds, and I'm very optimistic about what we can do together. But yeah, I got involved and started checking out God, I'm like losing my brain. What is it, Merv? It's not Cooltopia, it's the
Journeys?
Where do you go on quests? No, where do you go on
The
quests?
Meowpad.
The Meow Pad.
Yeah, the Meowpad. Yeah,
I think there's been a little bit of confusion there because originally that was called Cooltopia, and it was operated through the Meowpad, which is like a web-based experience, like a kind of like your old school Web 1 click blockchain games. Except then we repurposed the name for Cooltopia NYC, which was the big live experience last year. And because Cooltopia, the web experience was going to be the infrastructure, the blockchain infrastructure for Coolverse, which was like a bigger metaverse type thing, and I don't think that's exactly like in the plans now since we are partnering with you guys for tech. But yeah, it's the quests are in the Meowpad now.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that was my first exposure to it. I thought that was cool, like earning milk and like just having something that you can interact with, and just having that UX and like having little stories and things that you can follow along with the quest that kind of made sense and added some color to things, which I thought was really fun. And yeah, just started getting onto the journeys and checking out all that and following along the story, and just thought it was really cool. So really glad that we've partnered up together, and I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. And yeah, I mean, we can basically now kind of build out Cooltopia together as an actual, meta world probably in the future. So excited to see what we can build together.
Yeah, totally stoked to see what's gonna come. I mean, especially with like your guy Aaron, he's just like a super big brain. I was actually talking to Klon about Aaron afterwards. I guess Klon and his wife met Aaron prior somewhere, and yeah, just seems like a really good dude to have in your corner.
Yeah, no, we love all the McDonald's, and Aaron's an awesome guy, so definitely great seeing how much talent is involved with both of our teams, and definitely genuine, honest, hardworking people involved. So really excited to build the open metaverse together. Welcome up to the stage, Metablocks. How's it going?
Hey, so I'm Max. How you doing?
What's going on?
Great.
Not much. Just thought I'd jump in since I've jumped in and been playing around in the Cool Cats ecosystem for a little bit now, so it's been interesting.
So what I planned to do was to start from like the beginning of Cool Cats and try to take the listeners on a journey that Cool Cats has been on. Though, to be quite honest, I don't know how qualified I am to do it. So, but I think I should give it a shot. What do you guys think?
Hey, Max, I'd love to hear you try, and then Merv, you can just correct
Yeah.
if he's wrong somewhere.
Let's do
or
that.
if he's missing some.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, happy to. And we got
This should be fun.
one of our mods, Stubby here. He's in the crowd. He's actually been with the community just as long as me, maybe even longer actually. But yeah, if you want to pull him up too, if Stubbs, only if you want to. I know you might be.
Yes, Stubbs,
Yeah,
if you want
anybody
to
welcome.
come on up, we'd love to have you. So it started in late June when the Cool Cats originally minted for 0.06, but they weren't selling out, so they dropped the price to 0.02, and everyone that minted for 0.06 would get, more cats to compensate for that extra price. And then immediately after they sold out, they kind of took off a bit, and then they kept gaining popularity and notoriety, and of course the price went up for quite a bit of time. I think towards the end of 2021, I think most people in the NFT space would have the opinion that, there's CryptoPunks and there's apes, and like Cool Cats were like the third most known NFT project that was just everywhere in the NFT space. It had a ton of success, and there's 4 original founders, one of which is Klon, who's the artist behind the Cool Cat character, which is blue. And he's been developing this character for like a ridiculously long period of time. And when Cool Cats came out, one thing that was different from a lot of other projects at the time is that these 4 people, they were doxed individuals. They didn't hide behind fake identities or like pseudonyms the way that the Bored Ape founders and many of the other NFT back then did. So that was one thing that set them apart, and we had all this experience from Klon and years of working through this character, and it was something that a lot of people were very excited about, and it was a major flex to have a Cool Cat. I remember there's part of their collection has Cool Cats with a head of a TV, that people used to have that as their PFP, people that were able to afford them, or because they were very expensive. There were Cool Cats as a TV where people would put a different NFT inside the TV screen. Anyway, Cool Cats were all the rage. They're still very popular, but back then they were like the thing.
Quick interjection. If anybody's having trouble getting on stage, them inviting or anything like that, or that's trying to come up, I can DM you the link. Sometimes it's finicky about letting people up and not, so just shoot me a DM if you're having trouble or anything. Carry on, Max.
Yeah, one of the things that they tried to do to move their project forward into something that was sustainable, more sustainable than just a picture, was they came up with this idea to have what they called Cooltopia, which is an interactive experience, and they had a secondary mint. The secondary mint was like something beyond just the Cool Cats that was designed to work in coordination with Cooltopia, and they're called Cool Pets. And they were launched around the end of January towards the beginning of February. And the concept behind them was that they were part of this interactive experience, and they got created in conjunction with a token, which was all the rage at the time, based on, in the NFT space, there was this project that's even older called CyberKongs, which had a banana token, which had some kind of weird Ponzi tokenomics, to the point where people were earning a lot of money and people were happy about that and they thought passive income. Everything kind of didn't work out with the whole tokens and NFT projects, and everything kind of went to zero, but at the time it was very popular and everyone wanted it. And so Milk got created, which is their ERC20 token that operates around Cooltopia and other parts of the Cool Cats universe. And so they released Cool Pets and a Cool Token, and I think there was a lot of excitement and hype for that, but I think a large segment of the user base and the NFT community at large wasn't happy with how that got, like, the quality of the implementation and the amount of delays and, I don't know, growing pains associated with it. So there was, a bit of flack. I don't know what's the right way to describe it, but there was a lot of disappointment among some people.
Yeah, just for a bit of context around that time, I don't know if you guys gave it a try, but it was Axie Infinity was like the big play to earn game around that time, and kind of there was like this whole narrative at that time around like more so GameFi tokens and the whole play to earn meta. And around that time, like Pets was supposed to be kind of like the companion to the cats. And Tom, one of our founders, who's like very, very, very blockchain forward. Like if anything, the system that he designed for like behind the Meowpad, it was quite miraculous at the time, at least to me, because like I'm a dork. But in terms of like the UI and the UX, yeah, there were things that were wrong with it. It was kind of before its time, but we were still pretty proud of the way that like we just tried something. And yeah, the execution wasn't the best, that's for sure. Like typical startup, just trying to pull yourself up from your bootstraps kind of thing. But that was kind of around Banana, the Cyberconks, there was like that token, there was like a bunch of other ones.
Yes, Subducks had one. There was a bunch of NFTs that used to be popular and used to trade for a lot of money that had a coin that also went for a lot of money, and now all those coins are worth close to nothing. And so I don't want to make it seem like Cool Cats was like the only one in this boat. They're kind of a victim of the circumstances, one might say.
Yeah, but that's like, I don't know, to me it's kind of like the adventure of working in Web3 and like with all of you guys, like everyone is literally just trying everything, right? We're all kind of like exploring these technologies together and we're all learning from it. And still when, I don't know, there's, I guess because I come from like the music world and you really don't know what song is ever going to hit. Like the only way you make a hit song is you just gotta make a lot of songs. And so even when I saw like the Subducks token and all like the Banana tokens and stuff, I'm just like, wow, these were still all projects that were brave enough to give it a try, and maybe like play to earn and GameFi wasn't going to be the meta, but I know that's just like one step towards like getting to where we're wanting to go,
Yeah, there's a lot of events that happened across the NFT space that some people might have the opinion that the founders of a particular project made a bad move, and some might say they made a good move. There's all kinds of room for opinions, and kind of the results are a very mixed bag compared to inputs. Like when a project does X, it's very hard to know how that will work out. Anyway, moving on the timeline, I guess a bunch of other projects were started in the meantime in late 2021 or early 2022 that gained popularity that many would say surpassed Cool Cats, and Cool Cats kind of maybe slipped a bit from being really at the very top 3 project in terms of notoriety and maybe other things such as market cap or floor price or whatever you want to do to measure how successful or popular a project is. But they kept building things, and I think in September of 2022 they hired a new CEO named Steven Teglis. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing
Teglis.
And he's a guy with a ton of, like, if you look at his resume, it's very impressive. And I think since then, the Cool Cats team has been trying to reposition themselves in a way that's sustainable and can push forward for years, as opposed to most NFT projects kind of are day by day trying to follow trends. And I think Cool Cats was in that boat. I think everyone was in that boat of trying to jump on trends and follow trends and be on trend. And there aren't many projects that are really thinking years out, but I think Cool Cats might be in that boat of one of a very small amount of projects that is thinking very far out in terms of what is a sustainable model for NFTs and how can NFTs push the boundaries into the future and not just be, something that is a picture that people can use on Twitter and is kind of like a meme coin with a picture or something like that. Isn't just, a hype, trying to capture hype to make the floor price go up, but is rather trying to build something that just will make society better and can be useful to society years into the future. So, although Cool Cats are trading at the lowest that they have in well over a year, I think they're probably on a good path forward towards establishing themselves or plan to establish themselves into the future. One really cool thing that they did somewhat recently, a few months ago, was the Cool Score, which we talked about briefly. Merv, do you want to tell us a bit about the Cool Score?
Yeah, totally. The Cool Score is a way it's integrated into our website, Cool Cats NFT, and it's kind of a way you can participate in the ecosystem because we know we have had quite a few holders that over the months, since Cool Cats started July of 2021. In those early days, there wasn't a lot of this gamification stuff, right? There was just a lot of airdrops and a lot of art collaborations. So a lot of our holders have a lot of these kind of OG collab NFTs or some of these early achievements, and we kind of wanted a way to tie that in to the ecosystem again to contribute to someone's Cool Score. And then we wanted to bring that and integrate it with the new stuff we got going on. So as you guys probably saw, we announced it last week. Our latest collection, Fractures, which works in tandem with the Cool Score and Journeys, which is kind of a storytelling dynamic. That is actually going to be minting and burning into Shadow Wolves, which is our next PFP collection. And that's kind of I don't like using the term the bad side of the cats. I feel it's more like Game of Thrones. There's not really a good and evil. There's just perspective, but then that way people's Cool Scores actually do affect the traits that you get on your Shadow Wolves from your Fractures.
I was just going to jump in there, Max. That's sort of been my experience. I've just been on board the last few months, and I think it was probably initially the Seekers mint with Cool Cats, and then what Max was talking about when Stephen Teglis was appointed, and I did some reading into his background and looked in closer. But I think the interesting thing looking into the Cool Score is how there's always discussions about large whales versus smaller holders and interactions, and I think I've looked through the Discord quite a lot and how to look at the Cool Score and what makes it up, and it's quite interesting to see how smaller holders that are engaged can also share in those rewards with the scores. Merv was talking about the journeys, which I've been doing, and you can earn I think it's 100 points, Merv, for the journeys, and owning a Cool Cat I think is 100. So it's a real leveler for those that are engaged in the ecosystem, and just somebody was talking about the meow pad on the website and those sort of daily quests. And I think if you are engaged and curious to want to increase your Cool Score, there's things to engage with daily. But obviously some holders that might have larger holdings and are not engaged daily, then they're obviously not going to benefit. But I think it's a really good mechanism to balance it out. And obviously with Futureverse, looking like they're going to integrate something similar with those community rewards, I think it's worthwhile digging in and seeing how it all comes together.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well,
Yeah,
it's a way, I guess in a way, I don't know if anyone was participating in our CCFC stuff during World Cup in the wintertime in December, but that was actually the first time we really tried to do some dynamic NFTs where the NFTs actually changed depending on the outcomes of the games. And yeah, we tried that a bit, like originally with the pets in the Meowpad, but kind of Journeys and the Cool Score was a way that kind of all came together, how these fractures are dynamic NFTs that get affected by your Cool Score. But then even if you're not a big holder, kind of like Block said, you actually can have a way to participate, like, because a lot of it was affected. Your Cool Score is a lot affected by some people. They don't have a lot of cats, but they can engage in the puzzles, or they can just like quest with a pet. Like, you get actually more Cool Score depending on how much you've quested. So this is kind of like we're talking about the Axie Infinity stuff. It's all just like stepping stones onto like wherever we're trying to go, you know?
Yeah, the other thing on that too, like with the Journeys Merv, is just like I got in with the fractures first, and doing that, starting to do those journeys, and then just seeing how, like, and just like watching the Discord and looking at different holders and seeing how those that that might have had a like a lesser coloured, like the rarer colours, the yellow and the red and the blue, I was seeing how the ones that are engaged, as they go through each one of those journeys, those for those that don't know, like each journey goes for 2 weeks, and there's a color rating, like a color ranking of rarity, and then that'll transfer across once that PFP changes to burns to the Shadow Wolf. Each one of those is a trait, so essentially you're giving the community like this dynamic minting process where those that are engaged and having a higher Cool Score are going to benefit from essentially rarer traits in the final collection. So I think it's a really interesting mechanism. It's been good to be a part of that process.
So let's back up and talk about the Cool Score, and then talk about how the Cool Score affects different things. So first thing I wanted to say is that the Cool Score's first use case is towards providing a system where people can earn rare fractures, which will turn into Shadow Wolves. So rare Shadow Wolves, which will be minting in 2 days time from now on 4/20. But it's not limited to that. The Cool Score is going to be an important part of the Cool Cats world on a moving forward basis. So let's go over in detail some of the things that contribute to having a high Cool Score, and then we can talk about how that affects how rare of a fracture you get, which affects how rare of the next Cool Cats PFP, which is Shadow Wolves, that you get. So your individual Cool Score is comprised of the following factors: how long you've held your NFTs, whether your cool pets are fully evolved, what items you've hoarded from your adventures in Cooltopia, your achievements in special event NFTs collected, your level of community involvement, and more. So I imagine as time goes by, there will be all kinds of tweaks to better adjust the scores towards whatever desired outcome the team wants in terms of rewarding their community. Is that a fair way of putting it, Mert?
Yeah, I would say so. But it's also in the grander scheme of things, Cool Score isn't just it's not going to be just for Fractures or Shadow Wolves, because this is only the first season of Journeys.
It's just the first part of Cool Score, because Cool Score is going to affect everything moving forward.
Yeah, totally. So based on your interactions in our ecosystem, your Cool Score will actually directly change your experience.
So, there's something called a journey score, which is part of the system leading up to the fractures revealing to be or morphing to be wolves, shadow wolves. And there have been, I think, 5 journeys to date, and when you participate in the journey by going through the website to the Meow Pad, and it's hard for me to talk about this because I've only read about it, I haven't done it, so any color would be great. But when you participate in these journeys, you're rewarded and you get a journey score, which is your cool score, which we talked about earlier, plus an activity bonus. And there's a leaderboard showing, you know, who is in first, who's in second, etc. And I guess it's a competition to get the highest journey score, which in turn would lead to you getting the rarest fracture. And fractures were, it's not like every cool cat got a fracture. Like, it wasn't one cat equals one fracture, but rather anyone that, it was like any wallet that held a cool cat or a cool pet, I think, got one. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. So it was, each wallet got airdropped one fracture if the wallet was holding one cat or one pet minimum. Let's say if you had like 4 pets or 4 cats in one wallet, then they only got dropped one fracture. And the thinking behind this was, you know, we have quite a few older wallets that maybe they collected a lot of pets or a lot of cats, and we just didn't want there to be, you know, the rich get richer kind of scenario where you end up dropping like a bunch of fractures to a whale that hasn't really been involved in the ecosystem in a while.
Instead, the system is built such that if you have a lot of cool cats, then your cool cat score would be bigger, and then you'll get a rare fracture. Or
Yeah.
your fracture will become a rare Shadow Wolf.
It increases your chances, yeah. Your cool score actually does increase the more pets or pet cats you hold, and that also is dependent on whether your pets are final form or if they're left unhatched. But there's also like a diminishing curve as well. So just because you hold a lot doesn't mean you're going to have an exponentially larger cool score.
Gotcha. So, I guess when you're looking at the cool score numbers on the leaderboard, is it fully known exactly, you know, what actions get X amount of points in the algorithm, or is that something that the community tries to figure out?
We have some hints. There's if you just type in the command !cool score in the Discord, there's a little chart that pops up. You know, so people know that they're getting cool score from holding the different items in the Meowpad game, from holding a bunch of different banners, events, achievement NFTs, the time collabs that we have, those are OG ones. But exactly how much cool score each one contributes, that we kind of kept to ourselves, just because, yeah, we kind of want people to play around with it.
Just Merv, I was just going to say, I was checking out the leaderboard yesterday, I think it was. I think it's maybe the top 25 accounts they show, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think I was talking to Dom, the mod, and was just saying, like, seeing how, like, I was looking on Twitter and Discord chat between holders, and, you know, seeing them talk about it and post their scores. I was just thinking about it from a gamified perspective, from those that are engaged. And if you look at, like, most Discord, you know, for NFT projects, there's maybe, you know, 100 to 200 sort of higher engaged members in those communities. And I was just thinking, like, if that leaderboard was, say, the top 200, then it just adds that extra level of, like, interaction and sort of weekly, you know, gamification between people. Like, you know, opens up the opportunity to do more things with, you know, competitions and stuff between those people, just to sort of get those that are sort of collecting and working on increasing those points.
I know we've got a couple new speakers up on the stage, Bildo and Shay. If anybody wants to jump in, feel free. Glad to have you on stage.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I got rugged a little bit, and then it just made me join as a speaker, so I inadvertently came up. But yeah, I've been thoroughly enjoying all of the cool cat stuff.
You sound like you're underwater.
Your speaker's going in and out.
Oh, am I good now?
That's better. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I did have a question about hatching eggs. If Merv might be able to elaborate on how to go about that. I've been doing my quest with the pet and with my cat and earning some milk, but I don't think I have enough to do anything yet. So could you kind of further explain that process for me at all?
Yeah, for sure. So in the Meow Pad, you need a pet to quest first, and if you're planning to do it yourself, you get this used to be 10 quests per day, but we actually switched it to 1 quest per day for 10 times the amount of milk, and then that depends on what quests you roll, and then with that milk that you collect, you can go to the items tab and then get some chests, and then the chests, they each provide 5 items. Now in our Discord, there's a troubleshoot channel, and there's in the pinned section, there's a list, and it's all community made of people experimenting what items correlate to what elements. So if you want to do it completely manually, you can kind of try to get the items that you want to feed your pet, and then that will kind of determine the majority element in the end, but also the proportions of each element. And the element also defines exactly what, some of the traits that you may or may not get for your pet. But for some people, they don't want to go through that process. Anyone can buy milk off of QuickSwap if you just it's just on the Polygon DEX, and you can also just get milk and then spend. There's an instant hatching system, where you can spend the milk and just instantly become a final form, and it costs a little bit more if you want to pick the element at the end as well. But either way, it's incentivized to try to get your pet to final form, because that actually has a higher cool score than the unhatched pets.
Yeah, I'm kind of keen just to speed up the process. I've been trying to do it, and then I feel like the chest is 4,500. First couple days you get 400 a piece, and then I got one today that was a reward of 2,000 to 4,000. And I got hosed for 2,100. I'm like, geez, I got the bottom of the barrel on this one. So I still don't have enough to buy a chest. But if you have, is one chest enough to evolve the egg, or how many chests would you need to be able to have a fully evolved form?
I believe it's 10. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 50 items to get to final form. And there's 5 items in each chest, so you would need 10 chests.
Oh, gee, okay. So I feel like that would take quite some time of just earning milk like that. Is there other ways to do it?
It would take quite some time just purely questing. That's why some people just opt to get milk from a DEX. But actually some people have gamed it pretty nicely. Some people, they use the marketplace tab in the Meow Pad, and then say they do get chests. And then if they get items that are actually going for quite a bit more milk, they'll sell that on the marketplace. Or if they do have some cats, they can also use the cat gathering system, which I think you get per cat 2 gatherings per day to farm different resources, and some people have been selling rare items on that as well. Because some people have actually been buying those cat gathering items, or just those items in general, on the marketplace if they have a lot of milk to spend, so they can increase their cool score. Because each item gets a little bit of cool score.
I was looking at a build. I was looking at it yesterday. I think the plays, if you did want to accelerate the process, then looking at the milk on the DEX is pretty cheap to just grab some and make the play that way. Do those daily gathering tasks, and then just buy some milk and get what you need.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to do after. That's a lot of questing to try and hatch this egg, and I kind of hatched the egg before Shadow Wolf.
It totally is quite a bit. Yeah, it's kind of a time suck, but the nice thing is we actually have, our community's changed a little bit, but prior we actually did have a lot of parents that would do the questing with their kids. Mm-hmm. And then so instead of it being I know for us it's kind of just a lot of clicking, right? But for a lot of parents that did it with their kids, their kids would like read the stories and stuff. So it ended up being like not the worst way to kill your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for me, it wasn't like, it's not painstaking, like it's a super easy process. I'm just thinking like, it's one of those, like, if you want to just do the minimum, then it's going to take you quite a while to get through this until your egg actually hatches. And if there was a way that I could spend 2 hours clicking, I would do that to speed up the process. But because it's just like a day by day thing, like, I'm going to end up buying some milk.
Is it fun? Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know me and Sam and Shay have all worked on the journeys together. We all bought either pets or fractures from the beginning, and kind of have followed the fracture path through all of the journeys. So it's been cool to have something different to kind of collaborate on and try to figure out where we don't know a whole lot of the lore or a whole lot of the backstory behind what's going on like we do in Futureverse. So it's been kind of a fresh reset of something that's a little bit different. So I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually have like a friend, the friend that got me into NFTs originally. Like I got him more so into like blockchain and Bitcoin and whatever, and he was the one that got me into the NFT world. He's like a really, really big creative writing guy. So he actually really enjoys the quests because they're like little hints because they all tie back to the lore. And the lore, if you go into our Discord and just use the command !point lore, I'm pretty sure, you actually see like a lot of tie-ins. Now I know that's not for everybody because not everybody's like, you know, a big reader or anything, but I know a lot of people have been like getting stuff out of that. But for the average user, I would say like, yeah, just if you can, just, you know, bridge your ETH to Polygon, get some milk, hatch your pet. I think it's like 50,000 milk right now, or you could pay like, I think it's like 100,000, and you can select your element also.
Yeah, and is there any advantage to that? Like, are there any elements that are either like more desired or more rare, or is it kind of an even split between the 4 elements?
Last I checked, actually, I'm pretty sure this has been a while, but at one point I'm pretty sure there was like fire. I'm pretty sure was the most popular. You can actually go on OpenSea and see which element has the most or has the least. There was like a competition kind of going on. I think it was more so like Fire Nation. That was like deemed that from our past community manager Queenie versus like the water people or something. But yeah.
So it is kind of community driven because there is the element that you can pay to choose exactly what you want. There is a randomization element that I would imagine is probably 25% chance across the board if you just like randomize it.
Yeah.
But then there is that community driven like rarity from people saying like, no, I'll pay extra just to make sure I get, you know, fire or water or...
Yeah,
it's a really interesting dynamic. I like it.
Yeah, because I don't know, it's just those elements also have like, I swear, a personal thing with people, because like I'm actually like a Pisces, and I really relate to that. Like I'm just like a really sensitive, soft dude. And Tom, like our dev founder, he is also a raging Pisces. and I thought it was like actually really funny how both of us just wanted a water pet like so bad, you know. And I know people just like are like that for some reason. Like Queenie, who's still like a good friend of mine, who was the past community manager, like you could see in her personality, she was like all about the Fire Nation, like all about the fire elements, because she was that fiery person.
That's awesome. I never really thought about it like that, but yeah, it's been a cool experience. I gotta bridge some ETH to Polygon today.
I knew there was a reason we vibed, Merv. I like my Pisces.
oh, do you? Yeah. What are you, Shay?
I have a Gemini, so I have a birthday coming up actually in May.
Oh, no way. Okay, yeah, sense is being made. Like 2 of my best friends are gems also.
Love it. Patavilla.
We're in Aries season right now, let's be real.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know, trust me, I feel it. Like
my birthday was last week, so full blown Aries in that one.
I always know there's something up with Aries season just because like, I don't know, there's just like energy is kind of going in the air. Like me and like Greg's in the crowd right now, our head mod, and we're just like, man, what is up with people today? I swear people are in a mood.
Right? And I feel like the energy was so electric at NFT NYC. It was so great to meet you and the whole Cool Cats team. I'm really glad I came to the party. The energy of the whole like community, everyone I met, was just amazing. Shout out Mojave, he's in the audience. It was so good to meet him, and yeah, it was a blast. I'm so excited for the wolves. I like love wolves. Like that's always been like I definitely am a bit of a hippie at heart. So wolves are kind of like an animal that I've always just like identified with, and I'm like a bit of a night owl too. And I don't know, but I'm so excited, and I think my fracture is like pretty rare. So I can't wait for the reveal, and I love that you guys timed the reveal on 420. Like that is vibes, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, that was definitely almost 100% Jarvis. He's just like such a classic DJ, and he has to do stuff like that all the time. I'm so glad you came, Shay, for real. Just because like, Jess, who you were hanging out with for the most
Yeah,
part,
love
like,
it.
she actually only hopped on the team, I think, a month or two ago, and she's kind of new to Web3, you know? So, and I know that might be a little jarring sometimes for someone that's more used to working, like, in, I don't know, Web2 or in real life context, but I don't know, getting her and, like, you to meet the community that way, especially after, like, all the Futureverse stuff, I was just like, man, this is, like, the perfect, you know, positive way to, like, get this started.
That warms my heart so much. Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like we were kind of meant to meet, you know, like kind of right place, right time. And it's so funny because me and her, like our outfits were so similar. Like we were just kind of like twinning that night. And it was like kindred spirits sort of. But no, yeah, we really bonded over the fact that we're both in marketing, and she is newer to Web3, and I'm excited to like show her some ropes and also just have like another like marketing friend in the business. And yeah, it was fantastic, and I'm so glad I came, and like thank you so much for the welcoming vibes. I'm so excited for this and just like the cross community pollination that is going to come of this, and I've already met some like amazing people in the Cool Cast community, so this is awesome.
Yeah, that was super, super lucky, because the event was like quite full up, but you just happened to message me on the right day, right mood, I guess. I actually don't want to be the one like talking the whole time. I know Tasty and Bun are supposed to come up in a bit, but actually our head mod is in the crowd if you want to bring him up, Greg. Do you wanna come up here? I mean, you've been in the cast just as long as me.
Yes, and Mojave should come up too if he feels so inclined.
Yeah, Mo, if you're down. Mo's like been an OG holder also. He was at the meetup also.
He was decked out, dude. He had like a Cool Cats hat, like the shirt, the backpack. They gave me stickers. I'm actually looking at my Cool Cats stickers right now. They're awesome.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone. I had signed up and everything, but realized that I was not getting in until Thursday, so yeah, I missed my dates up, but it sounded like it was a great time.
We missed you, and I'm so glad that I got to see you too, Sam, and spend time with you. It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was a great time.
Yo, Greg, what up?
What up? Good spaces, how's it going?
Before I continue, a quick word from our sponsors that make the show possible.
Introducing Fraz Cola, the world's premier beer-flavored beverage.
It's Fraz, delicious, highly nutritious with a top-secret recipe that's so delicious.
Nothing beats the buzz of a cool Fraz Cola. What are you waiting for?
We're getting Fraz to the NAS.
Consume at your own risk. Symptoms may include and death.
Thanks for joining us.
One thing you didn't mention, mate, was probably one of the biggest events we've done was Cooltopia 2022.
Oh, in NFT NYC in 2022,
yeah, absolutely,
right?
Yeah. Because
that was a big event. I actually didn't get a chance to touch on any of the in-person events, so why don't you take us through that? Because Coolcast has done a number of in-person activations.
Yeah, I mean, May was the one who, when I arrived, was one of the the team members who was running around helping organise it. But from what I only attended the very last day, and I tell you what, it was incredible. The sights I saw that day were amazing in terms of the sheer amount of popularity the event got from non-Web3 people. Like, it's become quite like well known now that we ran out of wristbands. So we had like thousands and thousands of wristbands. There was 3 wristbands you could get: a cool cat wristband, obviously if you're a cool cat holder, a cool pet wristband, and a non-holder wristband. Well, about halfway through the last day, we totally ran out of wristbands, and it was that popular. There was families coming in who knew nothing about Cool Cats. There was parents and children running around in the Cooltopia event. It was something that I'm sure Klon must have looked at and gone, wow, this is an IP and a brand that has huge potential, not just in Web3, but in, for a global audience. And I think that was probably the point where he probably decided, you know what, I'm going to really lean into the storytelling element of Cool Cats, really develop the story of not just Blue Cat, but his friends, the lore, and really, push this brand to, a global audience. So I think that might have been the point where Klon's eyes gone, this is it.
Speaking of in-person events that are aimed towards beyond the Web3 crowd, I know the Cool Cats is very excited to have Blue as a balloon in the upcoming Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is, what is that, November?
Yeah, it's gonna be in November. We're super stoked for that. We feel like so lucky that our community really came together, and Tasty was actually, one of the ones that really rallied the community for that. And I mean, people actually ask hey, how come you guys aren't doing a little bit bigger or more of a meetup at NFT NYC? And the reason is we wanted to focus more on Macy's, because that's going to be, I mean, NFT NYC is sweet, but it's still pretty much an NFT or Web3 crowd, right? And for us, the main thing that I think is going to be the thing that kind of really gets us out there and connecting with more mainstream audiences are things like the Macy's Parade, because it's America's biggest parade, tons of eyes, and then we'll probably have some sort of activation there that people can come check it out after. Because that was actually one really interesting thing during Cooltopia NYC last year. That was a really deliberate kind of decision that the team made, that we weren't gonna necessarily market it as an NFT event, that it was basically just an activation. And that day, I think it was on the second day, Cooltopia NYC was trending on New York Twitter, and that just got so many non-Web3 people to come to the event. And yeah, there were just families running around and everything. And this was actually something where it clicked for me personally, because I'm still more of an artist, and I know sometimes people will take for granted because they're just there enjoying a song, enjoying art or a video game, and they don't realize all the work that is unseen, that it took that long to get a piece of art to that state. And I know full well how much effort Klon put in for 10 years to develop that character. It seems like a really simple kind of it's just a blue cat and a bunch of lines, right? But I think that 10 years is actually felt by a lot of people, because when people came into the event at Cooltopia NYC, they didn't really know what it was, but they were just I don't know what it is, but I like this makes me feel good. And even I have just a bunch of merch that the team's sent or worked on at my house, and when I have people come over to record something or just hang out, they don't know anything about NFTs or Web3, but as soon as they see the Blue Cat character, they're like, whoa, what is that? I don't know why, but it just kind of makes me happy. And that's this, I think that's the real intangible part of the IP.
It is very cute. Let's welcome Mojave to the stage. Welcome.
Yo, GM. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Shout out, Mo, and thanks for being awesome photographer.
Oh, no problem. It was great meeting everybody, Shay, Merv. It's been a long time coming, Merv.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you weren't there. It would have been nice.
Hey Mo, I would actually like to hear like your story with the cats, because like I know we hang out in the Discord all the time, but like I don't know, that's always the thing that kind of gets me, is just like what's everyone's relationships with the cats, how that like helped them stay in Web3 or find like community or friends they never thought they would have met.
That's such a good question. I would be curious to hear that too.
Yeah, so I joined the cats probably, like 3 weeks after Mint? And I think I seen them on Twitter. I was heavy into like wax NFTs, if anybody knows what that is. It's on EOS. And somebody mentioned it, and I'm like, I was checking it out, and I fell in love with the artwork instantly. And then I joined the Discord, and see what Klein was doing and the vibes, and I don't know, I've been a fan ever since.
Wow, I haven't heard that name in a while. I actually remember wax NFTs on EOS. That's like not the most user-friendly blockchain ever.
No,
but that's
no,
technology that you know.
We've also got Alex on the stage, VP of Community here at Futureverse, and founder of Non-Fungible Labs. How's it going, sir?
How's it going? Good to be here. Yeah, I've just been lurking in the background while I'm just smashing through this backlog of work that built up while I was off for the last week. It's, I think, my first week off in about a year, so much needed. But yeah, really great to kind of see the two communities come together, especially from more of a community initiative standpoint. This is more, Max and obviously Som has an official role with us, but to see this coming more from the community is really cool. And yeah, excited to see how we start bringing the communities more closely together. Merv, you and I definitely need to catch up at some point soon to talk about some opportunities around how we can do some fun activations together.
Yo, I'd be really, really down for that. That's a sick cat you got, also.
Cheers. Yeah, I picked up a couple over the last 6 months. I've got this one and one who's actually, I thought it was far more suitable for Jesse, the Chief Creative Officer and co-founder of Non-Fungible Labs. Is a little artist cat, but I really, really digging the ninja. So Merv and Greg, we tried to cover the journey from the beginning of CoolCast till today. What items might we have missed?
Just like glossing over real quick, like Cooltopia NYC was like a huge event, but I don't know, to me it really was a culmination because it felt like a lot of DIY things that led up to that. Like when Cool Cats minted, and Klon and you are both from Atlanta, but Klon was based in LA at the time, and Kevin, one of our early holders, he used to be like the events manager for Cool Cats. He put together like that first LA meetup because he also worked in the music industry, had like a bunch of connections with like a bunch of DJs and stuff. And then it was like that just built into momentum with NFT NYC being in like a record studio that Kev knew. That was in 2021. And then after that, the pizza shop at South by, and all those little steps, kind of led up to Cooltopia NYC. And I feel like that's all leading up to Macy's this year. And kind of like we were talking about earlier, kind of like in technology, it's all software updates, right? Like you got to build layer by layer by layer. But I feel like it's like that in real life events too, but also like relationships, seeing all the communities come together like ours. And yeah, I just think it'll be like a really, really exciting thing, especially with like all the groundwork that we've all laid out now. Oh, I see Tasty's in here. Yo.
Yeah, Bun and Tasty have joined the stage for the second hour. Thanks so much for joining, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us. Really excited to be here. Sorry I couldn't join here at the beginning, but was finishing up the workday and some meetings.
Yeah, same. Happy to be here. I literally just got off a meeting maybe like 6 minutes ago, so
I will
having us.
I will give a summary of what we talked about for the last hour for you guys. So we started off with the week that was in Futureverse, which is how we start off every episode. So we talked about what happened over the week.
Wait, we started with some jams. Max.
Okay, so one of the things is the Futureverse white paper got updated,
And one aspect of that is something that we think of as a connection to Cool Cats, which is something called a future score, which is a method of calculating someone's holdings plus their activity. It's like almost like a proof of work, and it's quite similar as the Cool score. So I think that they're definitely related in some way, shape, or form, and a really cool concept of how to reward active participation and how to reward community members for whatever the founding team thinks should be rewarded. So that's what we started, and then we moved towards explaining the journey that Cool Cats has been on since they minted till today, and we covered all kinds of topics, and Merv really helped us get through it, because it's much easier for someone who's been around for them than someone that just read about it for about 4 hours today. But what other things did we cover, Merv? Most recently we covered in-person events, we covered Cooltopia and journeys and fractures and all kinds of things.
Like a lot of the history with like the events, a little bit with like the play to earn, GameFi, meta. I think we got like a pretty good overview. I just want to hand the mic over to Bun and Tasty. I was just holding it down until you guys got here.
Awesome. So Bun and Tasty, now that we've covered that, I wanted to start off talking with you guys about if someone wanted to join the ecosystem today but has never had a Cool Cat, Cool Pet, Fracture, or any of the items associated with Cooltopia or any of the other related items, how would you recommend them getting involved, and also why would someone want to get involved?
So I'll go first, Tasty, if you don't mind. So I think the best entry point right now is probably fractures, which are going to be burned in
2 days.
Yeah, and that's going to be burned in 2 days for Shadow Wolves. And, entry price is pretty low. I think it's around like 0.07 or so. The community has been really engaged. We've gotten some leaks on some of the potential art for these wolves. And I think that they're going to be a lot of fun. Like the traits look really good. I really like the new color palette for these wolves. And then another potential, alpha for these is that because we have, a lot of inactive, we have a lot of fractures and inactive wallets. So, they're owned by wallets that don't even know that they can sell these fractures. It's possible that we might end up with, about half the supply of the fractures. So I think there's about 11,500 fractures. So, if you want to kind of play that supply game, if we end up with, about 6,000 wolves, things could look interesting, especially, as the brand continues to develop. Hopefully we can get some FOMO, and these wolves will be, I think they'll be pretty sought after in the future. Like I said, the art's great.
Hey, Bun, just a quick question. How are you, mate?
Yeah.
Just a question on that. Is there still, I read somewhere, maybe in the light paper about the community, like the treasury burning, if they're not claimed, that they'll own them up to 10,000. Is that correct, or is that still in play?
That was in the light paper. I don't think that I personally don't think that we're going to see them do that. But in one of the channels, Jarvis did mention that he would mint enough to balance out the rarity and to get all the one-of-ones. And I don't think that that we're going to see him mint or see them mint, all 11,000 fractures.
Yeah.
It could be interesting. I'm excited for that aspect of it, but also the art's great. We're seeing the story develop every week as well. So that would be my preferred entry point. And I mean, if you can, and if you really want to take, if you want to spend a little bit more, cats are always great. They're the tier 1 membership of the ecosystem.
Yeah, just a quick question on the whole like lore aspect of things, and maybe is it like is it kind of like Shadow Wolves versus Cool Cats kind of thing, or is it like is that kind of the antagonist angle that's being taken at the moment?
Yeah, it is, and I see Tasty's hand up. Tasty, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So from what we understand, the Shadow Wolves are sort of like the villain to the Cool Cats story. So if you check back on Twitter over the last few journeys, we've been introduced to these characters of the Shadow Wolves who have most recently have held Chuck's this adorable milk carton character and the Cool Cat story. They have these two characters hostage, and Blue Cat or Blue is our main character, and he's now going to go through these fractures to try and save his friends, and the Shadow Wolves are the villains. Just to touch on your earlier question a little bit, if you don't mind. Yeah. I agree with you, Bun. I think fractures are the way to go. The journeys are going to continue on after the reveal event this week, it sounds like. And what I wanted to mention also is that you don't even need to have any assets at all to join our community, have fun with us. Come chat with us in the Discord, see if you like the vibes. Our amazing mod, When Reveal right now, is hosting a slew of really fun games, and you don't need to have a cool cat pet or even a fracture to participate. Right now there's like a crappy art drawing contest that everyone can participate in, and if you win you get a fracture. So don't feel afraid to come vibe with us, come join our community, even if you don't have any of the assets.
Be forewarned though, the entries so far are pretty shitty, so you're gonna have to make some really shitty drawings to win it.
I really liked those baking contests. That was really cool. I thought there was some
oh yeah,
great
that was mad
there.
skill. That was mad skill. When I was staying with Klon in LA, his wife made this like vegetarian pizza, and then when was having that contest, I was like, hey, what if you made like a cat version of the lasagna? If you guys check out Gigi NFT, the lasagna she made with the cat head in it is pretty insane.
That's too good. The old lasagna cat.
I can confirm that lasagna was awesome. Saw a picture of it.
I want to build towards something that was announced in early February by the Cool Cats team, which is a goal of onboarding 1 million holders within the next 5 years. I think most popular NFT projects, or a very overwhelming majority of NFT projects overall, aren't thinking 5 years in advance and aren't thinking very hard about how to bridge from the current NFT community, which is in the tens of thousands, towards a future where there might be millions or tens of millions or more people interacting with NFTs regularly. I want to build towards our conversation towards getting to the point where the strategy is built towards that. So right now, I think that the people most likely to join the Cool Cats ecosystem are those that already have NFTs and have heard of Cool Cats, because almost everybody that participates in NFTs has heard of Cool Cats. But in the future, what does an onboarding experience look like, in your opinion?
I can answer that one if you're cool with it, Bun and Tasty. That's totally the Macy's thing. I think Macy's is our next for sure one that we're gonna be there. There's gonna be like, the big blue cat in the sky, and just because we saw so much success with Cooltopia NYC last year, we think that's the way to do it, is you kind of just get people to fall in love with the character and the IP and art, and then the rest kind of comes later. So then having activations surrounding a big public-facing thing like Macy's, I think that's the way to get people into the ecosystem. And moving forward, we're going to have more of those as well. Like as you guys said, if you guys check out Steven, our CEO, like Steven Teglis, his resume, his LinkedIn or whatever on the internet, he's got some crazy experience with like brand building and characters and stuff, and he has a lot of those relationships still, and he's been really using those to kind of help get us into the mainstream. And Shay, you met Steven as well at the meetup. Yeah.
He's a cool cat. He's awesome.
Yeah, totally a dad a lot of the time. What's up, Bun?
Yeah, let's hear from Bun.
Yeah, so Merv touched on the big thing that the cats are building up to. I'm not as privy to as much information as someone that works for the cats, but leading up to Macy's, we've been told about a lot of things that could potentially onboard folks from Web 2 or and get them interested. So there's retail, there's going to be toys and other merch that go along with that Macy's drop. We're looking at potential, hopefully there will be the Animoca mobile game that's supposed to come out. I'm not sure what the timeline on that is, but it sounded like it would happen before Macy's, and that's a way to bridge that Web 2 and Web 3, because I don't think that's going to be strictly you need to own a cat, or you need to own a pet or a wolf to play. So I think that's going to be another way we see people onboarded. Even this partnership with Futureverse, we've seen Futureverse really put that emphasis on onboarding people in a much, in less than 8 steps. They've talked about trying to get it to, one click, get them, into crypto, potentially onto the Root network. And we've seen, and then the cats have also mentioned, I forget what they're called, explorers. They're, I think that they're going to be like unlimited, PFPs that are going to be available for anyone who's interested. So then they don't have to drop, an ETH to buy a cat, or even 0.1 to get something in like the lower tier memberships. They can get an explorer, build off of that with traits, and hopefully leverage, and hopefully the cats can leverage that partnership with Futureverse to bring people on, because NFTs can be cost prohibitive to a lot of people, but once the cats are in front of all those people, in person, on TV for the Macy's parade, hopefully we see a way for them to join the I don't know what to call it, like the digital ecosystem side, whether it's through the mobile app or the explorers. So I think there's a lot of potential on-ramps, and really that's just within a year. So the brand keeps building, the animated show, and maybe 1 million is possible. They said 1 million in 5 years. I forget.
Yeah, 1 million in 5 years.
It could be possible. It's ambitious, but if you're setting that goal for yourself, why not be ambitious with it?
Yeah, well, 5 years is plenty of time to figure it out. It's just, my point was that many NFT brands don't seem like they're operating with a strategy of gaining traction from those that are not currently in the space, know how to work a MetaMask wallet or another type of wallet, know how to store a seed phrase, know how to have self-custody over their assets, know how to dodge scams that come at them through DMs or through other means. I just think the current infrastructure of Web3 is such that it's very difficult to onboard people. The thing that made it onboarding quicker back in 2021 is the amount of people that were making very large amounts of money and telling all their friends about it, and then their friends try to do it. But at the point where that became very difficult to do, then it's hard to get the next wave of people to join Web3 without better infrastructure where people can do it easier and safer. Shay, what's going on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that was an amazing explanation, Bun, and I loved hearing all of that, and that I'm honestly like really impressed that and like thrilled that Cool Cats is going to have a presence at Macy's. I think that more Web3 brands need to go out of their way and make an effort to do such activations in Web2 spaces, and that's really like go big or go home. So I'm really excited about that for you guys. And I also just want to give a shout out to Jess. She's in the audience. She is the amazing social media manager at Cool Cats. So go follow her, guys. She's awesome, and I'm bullish on her. But also, I just wanna call out like how real cross community pollination is. Like this is sort of like anecdotal evidence, but or whatever, like one person's experience. But like I went to NFT NYC, like, you know, I already had bought into Cool Cats, but like now I'm at the team, like I'm at the community, now I'm more invested, right? I went to the Azuki party, for example, like it's been something that's been in the back of my mind forever because my bandwidth is so low and I'm already spread across so many things. But I went to the party, I met people, I met the community. Like I ended up buying a bean yesterday, you know, like it's so, I don't know, the cross community pollination thing is real, and I'm like really glad that we're doing the spaces. So like thank you Max and Tom for organizing this, and I'm just so excited like for more of that, and I 100% believe that Futureverse will also play a huge role in like that easier onboarding process. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, just kind of enabling Cool Cats and really anybody that wants to build on top of the root network, the ability to have these tools and things like what's mentioned in that pinned tweet. There's a custom marketplace, 3D explorations, asset personalization, AI tools, and more. Like, you know, really focusing on both digital and in real life experiences, and just kind of forging really kind of uncharted territories together, will be definitely key to our future successes. And, you know, network effects is definitely a part of that cross community pollination, and really brings value to everybody that's, you know, trying to build all this open metaverse together.
And I think it's showing people like that FLUF World is so much more beyond just the rabbit, you know, and Futureverse. But, and I mean, the same way like Mojave was talking about how he saw the cats and fell in love with the art, like same with us, you know, like we saw the bunnies and we saw fluffs and we fell in love, and it was kind of like down the rabbit hole from there. And I think it's really cool to just like bond over that shared experience. So.
Yeah, and it's crazy seeing the variety and everything too. You know, you got cool pets and cats, and now shadow wolves. I thought the whole Fractures experience was really cool, seeing that dynamically evolve over, you know, your involvement with the journeys. You know, same thing can be said for Futureverse. Just such a diverse collection set, and, you know, something for everybody, I feel like, in terms of people's preferences and tastes and sort of that sort of thing. But yeah, really excited for this journey together.
No pun
on that topic. Yeah, excited for the Futureverse. Question for the audience, and I'll throw it to Bun and Tasty. What are you most excited about with Cool Cats at the moment? That's my like every week question, by the way, that I'm essentially forced to ask at this point. Yeah.
It's a staple of the show.
Very broad question. You can take it how you like. Whoever wants to go first, feel free.
Tasty, go ahead.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, for me, you know, Merv said this earlier, but the next big event for Cool Cats is Macy's, and that's going to be in November around Thanksgiving. But what I'm really excited about is what happens between now and then. Bun and I talked a little bit about this on Spaces of ours a couple of weeks ago, but you know, with this Futureverse partnership, the introduction of this cool score and the journey system. We have these new characters. There's a lot of setup and foundations that are being set right now that over the next 6 to 9 months I could see the team doing a lot with. And so the team put out a new character. They're not just going to put out a new character and do nothing with it, right? They're not going to put out this cool score system and do nothing with it. So I'm excited to see these these systems and processes get applied in the meantime, and I'm really excited to see what that means for us as holders.
Very nice, yeah, and hopefully in the meantime we can deliver some cool things for you guys to interact with and do. Bun, what's up?
Yeah, so on top of everything that Merv and Casey has already said, I'm kind of calling back to what I had just talked about. I'm really excited about the team's plans of how to onboard people. One of the things I've kind of struggled with NFTs and 2 years into this NFT experiment, how does IP really play a value other than the mint being served as kind of a Kickstarter for the project. And I think at least in this case, where we're seeing a lot less speculative trading, the strength of an IP might be the incentive for people to kind of take that leap to actually give Web3, crypto NFTs a shot. So I'm really excited where Cool Cats is going to take the IP, and I'm really hoping that they can build it to a point where people will want to further engage with Cool Cats, and they'll click any link that they can to kind of experience it. Like kind of how you might sign up for an email list, or you might make an account on a website. They might be going to the Cool Cats website and making an account, and before you know it, like they might not even know. The Futureverse folks had said, making the technology invisible, right? And they might not know that they're making that Web3 account when they're setting their email and password. But I'm really excited to see how this all integrates together, and how we can onboard people without the promise of getting rich. Because really, we've seen so many people leave the space because that was their only intent of being in the space, was just to flip NFTs, collect airdrops, get that token drop, and kind of excited for. And I really think this partnership is what's going to has the potential to really move things forward a lot faster, because we've seen you guys working on the other side, that's going to be a little bit further out than what Cool Cats has planned. So really excited for onboarding people for not the sake of making money.
Yeah, I think when most people in the world that have heard the phrase NFT or the acronym NFT, they think, oh, that's a type of investment, a new type of investment, versus that's a technology that will change the way that the world operates. And that's currently where we are right now. But we could move forward towards a point where NFTs are not thought of as investment, but rather a technology. And people could be using that technology without referring to them or even thinking about them being NFTs or collectibles or anything. It could take any number of forms. Go ahead, Shay.
Quick call out. I just wanted to call out Reddit, because Reddit, everything Bud was describing, like Reddit kind of proved that use case to us. So
yeah, and on the point of not looking at NFTs simply as like a number go up kind of thing, I always think it's like pretty interesting the way people first treated like crypto, Bitcoin also, as a financial instrument, when really it's like a payment network. Or I guess, like, depending on who you are, you might see it as like a store of wealth network. kind of the same with like email. I guess it's just like email for money. But then when you see like NFTs, and again, people are treating it like a financial instrument, but we all know what all these things are for, right? Like Ethereum is literally like gasoline for your car, but instead it runs a network. Or our NFTs can be whatever you want them to be. They could be tickets, they could be memberships, they could be unique identifiers like a passport. And it just so happens like this is just the kind of way humans naturally seem to adopt things because of greed. Because then, especially in like the historical sense, think of like things like art, like fine art. We use fine art as stores of wealth for some people, right? But do you really think the artist intended that? Like they're just making art because they needed to express something. It's almost like it's up to the audience to decide what it's for, whether it's a financial instrument or a piece of art or a unique identifier. But I think that naturally plays out with nature though, you know? It's like almost as a financial instrument or as like a thing of greed, it's just very natural. It's something people can understand. But I think maybe we need to see that as like a natural progression for people to actually enter our universe and start to see it for what it is, slowly start to learn. Almost like seeing it as a financial instrument is like the gateway drug or something.
Yeah, and you know, to that point, if you guys haven't checked out the Futureverse and the Root Network white paper, definitely give that a read, as a lot of those things that are being built into the Root Network will allow us for easier onboarding, mass adoption, and those sorts of things. Just less friction points, like we've been talking about. So definitely worth a read, and definitely goes pretty far in depth, and more to come on that, with as well as the Third Kingdom white paper, which will kind of be the game mechanics a bit and kind of explaining how the world's going to work, in terms of how, you know, our meta worlds can be created.
I was just going to talk about onboarding as well. I noticed that they tweeted out that the FIFA game was up to 10K downloads, which is also like, I would have to imagine that's not all Web3 wallets that are downloading that, and I would imagine that number is going to increase pretty substantially once it opens up to iOS. I know me personally, I've been waiting until it can be downloaded on an iPhone, but that's encouraging, and you know, just another unique way to continue to onboard people that may not even know that they're using any type of Web3 technology.
Yeah, big shout out there to the team working on AI League and the whole FIFA team. So big milestone, reaching 10K, and definitely more to come. And I feel like, especially once it's dropped on iOS, it'll be quite a bit more than that, because I know a lot of people do have iPhones, but we love Androids as well. Another quick shout out to kind of the whole mass adoption route is I want to encourage you guys to submit as many collections of unwanted NFTs to Gods and Goblins up top there pinned. It'd be great to see some of the Cool Cats community, you know, submitting collections that you guys may have minted or purchased in the past, that you know, just rather have a goblin for.
Let's back it up and explain the whole thing from the get-go. So Gods and Goblins is a collection of goblins that is being minted currently on the Root Network. It has an unlimited amount of goblins that can be created. So it's not like a 10K collection or a traditional NFT collection. It has a set number of pieces. Anyone can buy a goblin with either 100 junk, which is not a token that you can trade on like an exchange, but rather
token
just used for utility. And the utility is for 100 junk you can mint a goblin, and also you can pay $20 in a variety of coins that they accept, including Ethereum and USDC. What do you get for 100 junk or $20? You get a 3D file of a goblin that instant reveals. Every goblin is different, and there's like a system that's actually very technologically advanced, where the system creates a unique goblin on the spot in real time. It only takes, well, way less than a minute, maybe 10-15 seconds to create your goblin, which is a 3D character, and it comes with the 3D GLB file. So you immediately have your 3D file as well as 2D file. And I think we're currently at the point in the NFT space where having a 3D file, isn't something that anyone cares about, because nobody or a very small community of people are doing something with 3D files. But just to say what is being offered currently, and
wait, there was 850,000 views on the lens from Big Hino and Blockchain Bunny.
Is that a Snapchat lens that some of the community members made that you can use to look like a goblin?
850,000 views on the two Gods and Goblins lenses. There's a female and a male. One of them had 360k plays with 8,400 shares. The other one had 511k views. Yeah. With 39,000 shares, actually.
Okay, well, moving back to Gods and Goblins, so because there's unlimited that could be minted, we're not 100% sure what the value monetarily would be, and we also don't really know what we can do with the files other than anything that somebody can do with 3D files, which not too many people are doing. But hopefully in the future there will be fun activations to do. I don't know the timeline. The team haven't really spoken much about that or what those activations might look like. But goblins are the antagonists, can be seen similar to the way the shadow wolves are, maybe the antagonists of these respective worlds in terms of lore and story development. And one thing that people can do right now is they can look at the junk list. Sam, can you pin the junk list too?
Yeah, I can. And to get into this world and cross into our realm, the Goblin Queen asked us to burn a bunch of Seekers to make the portal. RIP, a bunch of Seekers. And yeah, the portal was then opened for the goblins to emerge.
So, if you have any of the NFTs on this list that are worthless, what you can do is you can burn them through the official Gods and Goblins website and receive the junk to create goblins, if that's something you want. And a lot of these NFTs have no development going on and are just rugs or failed project. So it is something that we're not sure, you can't trade a goblin because it's on the Root Network, and the Root Network marketplace is not live yet. So, there's not much you can do with it other than if you want to use the 3D file or something, which most people don't. But at least there's an active team developing it and plans and hopes that it will be useful in some way, shape, or form, versus most of the collections on the list are just trash. So if anyone has those collections, you may be interested in at least getting something out of it.
Yeah, so it's an ongoing nomination process. The more votes for things, the higher visibility it'll get, as well as there will be a community driven interface where you will be able to vote for different collections.
So what's live now is there's a current list that exists, and then in the future there will be a mechanism for the community to choose. Well, there already is you can nominate a collection on the website right now, but the next steps towards the community voting on which collections get included has not been rolled out yet. But it's an ongoing process to try to convert people from the Web3 community that have minted rugs or that have bought rugs and that are worthless to join. And I don't think
Hey, listen, they don't have to all be rugs, listen, alright? I mean, we've got thingy art on there, that's not a rug.
Well, we can say rugs
it's unwanted, unloved. Listen, it's for anything that you would like to just replace with a goblin, right?
We can say low value items, I guess.
Okay.
But the point is, that if there's something that you really can't trade or sell because no one wants it, you can get a goblin out of it. Shay, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to call out the pin after the junk list is a thread that I wrote on the Mint, kind of just analyzing it from like an analyst perspective, because it was super innovative, and I kind of tried to go back to the beginning and take everyone through all the steps. So I'd highly encourage anyone from the Poolcats team who kind of wants to learn more and is like maybe like a bit of a nerd and like fascinated by innovation in the space to take a look at that thread and like what made this so revolutionary, because it really was, and it really is so impressive. And I think it's the first time in the Web3 space where someone or like something has been able to give utility to like our regrets, no regrets. But yeah, so just wanted to shout that out and give a huge kudos to the team. And that's really what's so cool and attracts me to Futureverse, is just like constant innovation at every turn. So
from a technological perspective, it's incredibly impressive that they have built a system where with a click you can generate a 3D character in seconds that has unique traits and like has its own DNA, if you will. From what NFT community, the larger NFT community is expecting and wants out of something, it's not that. They don't care. The existing NFT community doesn't care about the innovation right now. They care about price go up or a cool PFP picture for the most part. But I think Futureverse and also Poolcats have shifted from building their model based on what will make floor price go up or what does the current NFT community want and want to get excited about, towards something that is sustainable for many years. And Goblins, I think, is a part of that.
Yeah, and I think it's a big tool that we can offer to, really the world, is just character generation pipeline, where people can create different characters and assets like this. I think it's definitely something to be said for the tech stack and what we can offer. Tasty, you've had your hand up. What's up?
Yeah, so you're telling me that I can take the 400 NFTs in my hidden folder and I can get goblins for them?
Yeah, more or less.
They just need to get on the list.
I recognize so many of these on the list. I have a bunch of these, like Super Yetis. I've definitely got feet pics in my hidden folder. Fuzzy Felons. I know I minted that one too.
But wow, you're already in.
This is a really cool thing. I'm gonna check it out right after this Spaces. I think it's a really interesting and sort of, somebody else was saying this, pretty unique in the space where, most of the times, once a project rugs or becomes, valueless, there's nothing you can really do about them. And so what we've seen over the last, let's say 6 months, as 99% of projects in the space go to zero, is that these people who were previously invested, interested, collected, or involved with, they just leave the space because their asset has gone to zero, right? But by giving them something to do with those things, you might, re-engage this person, somebody who maybe previously gave up on NFTs or Web3 as a whole, and say like, hey, there's something I can do with my Wooshi world now. And and more than that, not just bring them back in, you can bring them into Gods and Goblins and hopefully the FLUF World or Futureverse ecosystem as a whole. This is probably a really good way to get them introduced. So yeah. Kudos.
Yeah, we also opened it up to the Goblintown.wtf community because they recently, I think, migrated to another contract or something to enforce royalties.
Which
So they have the
so
previous.
they
Wait, Max, you're interrupting me.
Well, I wanted to say the full thing.
What's the full thing, Max?
So the project team airdropped everyone that had the Goblin Town on the previous contract, the new one. So the previous contract is still in the wallets of people that own Goblin Town on the new contract. So they can
getting there too.
Oh well, you seemed like you needed help. Anyway, so now everyone that owned a Goblin.wtf can own both a Goblin.wtf and a Goblin from FLUF World. Well, not necessarily, but they can sacrifice them and then maybe have enough to mint 1 or 2 goblins.
Yeah, if you are looking tasty to sacrifice anything, it's 100 junk to be able to mint a goblin, and every NFT that you sacrifice gets you a random 50 to 300 junk per NFT burned. So, sometimes I've lucked out and I've burned 10 and gotten 2,000 junk, and I could mint 20, and sometimes I minted or sacrificed 10 of them and got 1,000 junk. So it's kind of random, but typically speaking, you should be able to get enough from burning 1 NFT to mint a goblin.
Also, make sure you check floor price, because I almost burned my Kiwami, but Kiwamis are still worth like 60 or 70 USD or something. So yeah, and they're on the list.
Well, hey, we burned Goblin Towns when they were like 0.4. But that was from a team wallet, just to test it. Tasty, did you have your hand up? Or anything?
No, Bildo actually answered my question.
Oh, nice.
I was just wondering how these things are minted. I guess the only
it
other
actually doesn't cost you gas. I think it only costs you gas to burn, but it doesn't cost you gas to mint the goblin itself, if you're using junk.
Yeah, well, it would cost gas to approve the collection to burn. For each collection, you want to approve to burn, and then gas to burn as well. But then once you get to the root network, the team is covering all the gas costs while the root network is in beta. So that's going to be going for a long while. So there will be no gas costs by users on the root network for a while.
And gas is pretty high today. I don't know what it would be, but when it was, in the 25, 35 range, I feel like it was like $7 to sacrifice like 10 or 15. It was all pretty reasonable.
Cool. Thanks. When can I burn my cool pet?
Oh, cool pets are still working. So I don't think cool pets would be a very good fit for the list.
Sorry, that was a very poor joke on my
I
end.
was throwing out that we should do milk if we venture into ERC20s. But is milk even an ERC20? Maybe I'm off base here, but
yeah.
Since there was already like a burn for milk for raffling, I mean, hell, maybe we extend that into junk somehow.
Yeah, it is an ERC20 on Polygon. Yeah, it is.
But no promises or anything. I just thought it was an interesting idea.
Overall, for the whole thing to be successful in its attempt to onboard Web3 users, I think, we would need to see a reason why Web3 users would hear about it, because it is hard to reach communities of projects that many of the community has given up on. Like, if we look at an example from the list, like, one thing is Rare a Pepe Grills Yacht Club. Like, I'm just not sure how to reach that community. So I think what needs to happen is it needs to be so popular that people across the Web3 community hear about it, so that anyone that's been in the Web3 community that's minted random shit at random times or bought random NFTs at random times over the past almost 2 years, right? Any people like that can hear about it and be like, oh, I have 5 things on this list. Oh, I have 10 things on this list. And then on top of that, I think they would probably need to be convinced that there's a reason that they want to participate in the Futureverse ecosystem or in the Gods and Goblins ecosystem. So I'm looking forward to seeing the team display in like real life as opposed to like in white papers, what that looks like, and so people can see it for themselves and be like, I like it, or I don't like it, or I think it's a good start, or just have an opinion on it. You know,
I think Max, the big opportunity that I can see early on is, like you were saying, it's hard to get to those communities. Whereas with Goblin Town WTF switching contracts, I think it's only going to take a few of those holders to actually realise what's going on. And like you said, if there's something in it for them, but I think once that gains a little bit more traction with a few of their holders realising that they're being burnt, then that could be a really good one to get some of the active Web3 community across to Goblin Town, because most people, you know, that were in that project were probably more active over the last 6 to 12 months.
Let's look at the stats and see how many have done it so far.
I think it was only like 4 as of either this morning or last night, I think I saw.
I won a GoblinTown.WTF NFT a few months ago from a project called Applied Primate, but I sold it, so I wouldn't be number 5. RIP.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, I mean, it's an open rolling list, and as more people find out about it and take notice and understand how to do that, I mean, it is pretty simple as well in terms of like the user interface. But yeah, I feel pretty good that a lot more people will start noticing and picking this up.
And I think too, so once that price goes down down a little bit more, because people realise there's nothing they can do with them, then, and people start buying them, they're going to be wondering what's going on. So I think it's just the process is there. It's just a matter of time to see a few of their holders get the opportunity. And you know, there's one of their biggest holders that I follow, and he follows me on Twitter, and he's been quite active. And I think you know, maybe you'll start to see some of those guys come across. But like Max said, the key is that, you know, they want to know that you're not going to burn it for something if there's nothing there. That I think once they see some value of what actually it involves, then people will do it.
Yeah, definitely. Bon, what's up?
Yeah, I'm just looking at this list, and you know, it's just bringing back all the memories. I mean, there are some things on here that definitely have some value, but I think that they were submitted just to kind of spite the project creator. Like, there's Cool Man's Universe, which, you know,
did we get wrong?
Of like 0.05, and I don't know the state of the project. I had some at some point. They didn't get acquired by Disney, but it's still worth something. But I feel like they were just added to the list despite the creator.
Yo, are we wrong?
Wait, they didn't get acquired by Disney? No way.
I think
Bonnie, are you saying Paris Hilton's not working on her Inner Circle project anymore?
Oh yeah, and then 888, yeah, he definitely deserves to be on this list. I don't know what that's worth, but yeah, that project definitely deserves to be on this list. So we could just kind of send a message to the space.
If the Goblin Town ones, like the old ones, the old contract, like gets lower, I mean, I'm definitely looking to get those. I figured they would get closer to $20 as people feel like realize.
And a community member did make like a whole burn tracking system, so it's burn tracker .theproms.xyz, and it kind of goes and shows the floor prices of all the different projects. Kind of can help you evaluate, like, you know, maybe that $25 WETH offer is still better than paying 25 or $20 to mint the goblin, but kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of where you're at, and then how many from each project has been burned as well. So just interesting little tool that a community member made for us.
Yeah, and the
Just pin that to
24
the
hour
top.
stats.
Pinned it to the top there if you guys want to check it out.
So some of these NFTs, like Mutant Ute Yacht Club NFT, 1,822 of them have been burned out of the 10,000 collection. That's a pretty good number. That's over 18%. How did that happen?
So you're telling me they're not going to come back?
Apparently not.
I mean, to be fair, I think out of that 1,800, the FLUF World community has probably swept a ton of them when they were at 0.001, 0.002, and that was the cheapest way to get junk. So I know there's been some people, myself included, that buying some of these rug NFTs and then immediately sacrificing them has been the cheapest way in.
I'd say probably about 99% Pildo.
Well, yeah, I think the task of reaching new people through this mechanism requires a few more steps, I think, including showing the world why they should care about what the Futureverse is building.
I think Captain KBD did say they've had quite a few new wallets that have come on board as a result
Yeah,
of it. So I think-
1,200 was the number that he gave, and that's a good start. But if Cool Cats has a goal of 1 million, and I think Futureverse, has a goal. I don't know that they stated their goal, but I think their goal is also in the millions.
Yeah, and I guess like we're talking like active Web3 right now. So if you've got 1,200 new wallets out of maybe 20, 30,000 active daily users right now, like it's still a decent percentage of active wallets, which could flow through to other areas of the ecosystem.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's mentioned at least a number, maybe a handful of projects that have reached out that said, like, we want this utility. And I feel like if you were a community that was still active, but the project just isn't doing very well, it does give you, and like how Polar Pals tried to turn it and say, hey, let's stop these stinky goblins from, burning our NFTs. I feel like if you still had an engaged community, but your floor price was just down, it really would at least like hold a floor price of, over $20, that if some of these are less than that, it's kind of like, well, what do you expect to do? You know what I mean? Like, if this is worth $5, I'm down to roll the dice on a goblin and see what it does. This looks more technology advanced than what I'm currently holding, and it seems like they're a little bit more put together. So I'm gonna roll the dice with my $5 on a goblin as opposed to.
I think we want to talk more about Cool Cats. I just realized we've been talking about goblins for too long, huh?
I actually have a Cool Cats question. So, I haven't been keeping up since NFT NYC, but is there anything that we need to do for the fractures to turn into wolves to reveal?
Oh, we should have more details on that exactly coming out tomorrow. We're just finishing up the light paper for that. But yeah, there's stuff to go.
Just tell us.
But there's going to be a pretty big window, though, so there's not going to be much. You don't have to stress too much about rushing or anything. But Thursday's a big day.
I think the light paper said 30-day window, so unless I think you'll have plenty of time to burn that fracture.
Okay, sweet. 30 days. Sounds great.
I think we're due for a Merv Jam.
Yeah.
How long does this space usually go?
Well, we usually go around an hour 45, but we're going a little bit longer today because our guest joined an hour and
Yeah, okay. I gotta hop off in a bit anyway, but yeah, I'd love to play a song for you guys, especially since there's like so many Futureverse holders in here. Yeah, so I actually started playing in the Web3 space. Just, it was COVID, right? So I just didn't really have like anywhere else to practice, and I started playing for Cool Cats Town Halls, which kind of weirdly led to this job. I know this is the one that a lot of the cats like. This one's called Jiu-Jitsu. I think this was like one of the first ones I played for the cats. It's just kind of funny because I didn't realize till later that Greg also does Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, the song's not literally about Jiu-Jitsu. I do a lot of Jiu-Jitsu, but it's more so about like Jiu-Jitsu, you're just kind of like rolling with whatever comes, right? And it's like kind of exactly what we're doing with all the FUD, or like in a bear market or whatever. You just kind of like just keep picking away at it little bit by little bit. It's called Jiu-Jitsu. Can you light up a cigarette? I'm too stressed out today. Will I die or fill with regret? I'll think about that today. I'll pack my car and guitar, sing along to day one in Jiu-Jitsu. I'll wake up late, roller skate, stay with Tim and Silver Lake in Jiu-Jitsu. Am I greedy cause I want more? I know there's no life better than yours. I ride with Kevin, I'm at the store. Baby knows best, all of yours. I'll pack my car and guitar, sing along and say war in Jiu-Jitsu. I'll wake up late, roller skate, stay with Tim and Silver Lake in Jiu-Jitsu. Sing along with someone new, but today I'm not in the mood. But tomorrow I'll come and roll and get over you. Yeah, I'm a ticking time bomb, turn that shit into a song in Jiu-Jitsu. I'll wake up late, roller skate, stay with Tim and Silver Lake in Jiu-Jitsu. I'll camp alone, throw my phone, stare at Ronnie's home alone in Jiu-Jitsu. I'll take you out on a date and realize I fucking hate Jiu-Jitsu.
Woo! That was amazing, man. Alex.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I think I played that one right before the Futureverse Spaces. Actually, also, we had like a few Futureverse holders come into the Discord, and then I think one of our holders, like Sheena, she just wanted like a little concert, and like it was kind of nice, you know, before the actual official announcement on the Spaces, seeing like some Futureverse holders and some cool cats just kind of like, you know, kind of going to a show together, which I think is like some of the most intimate thing you can do with the community. But yeah, thanks, guys. Yo, shout out Tasty and Bun. Thanks for always like repping the cats so well, and Sam and Max too. You know, it's really, really great of you guys to invite us up. This has been sweet.
I was in that voice call, and I really appreciated the little concert that you put on. It really kind of set the mood and got us all nice and relaxed. I think we were all very excited for the announcement in the Spaces, and it just kind of put everybody at ease and in very, very good spirits. So thank you again for doing that, both then and now.
Yeah, of course, man. And yeah, shout out Shay, Greg, Mo, Stubbs. Always glad that you guys are here sticking it by. Yeah, have a good night, guys. Oh, maybe before we go, we should do like a very classic Cool Cats bye. 3, 2, 1. We love the cats.
We love the cats.
We love the cats.
Thanks, guys.
We
Good
love
night.
and the cats.
So the last topic that I want to discuss before we call it for the space is thinking about the long-term goal like years, because I mentioned the Cool Cats team said 1 million users within 5 years. What do we expect from the partnership? Not in the near term, but in the medium to long term. What do we expect to see in terms of each of the projects influencing and helping each other on their journey towards mass adoption? Not everybody all at once.
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
What do we expect to see from this partnership in the medium to long term future towards the goal of both projects to achieve mass adoption and to get outside of the bubble of the current NFT speculators? Tasty, please.
Yeah, sorry, needed a couple seconds to form my thoughts here, but
It's a difficult question, and I think it is the paramount question for both of our communities.
yeah, I think there's a really symbiotic relationship that could play out here in the long term. Actually, if you go to the Chief Cool Cat's Twitter, he has a little diagram explaining how the team perceives Cool Cats, Futureverse, and Animoca, and potentially other partners to all work together. I think, as you sort of mentioned earlier, there's the tech side of Web3, and then there's the brand side. And where I think this goes in the future is likely that Cool Cats is, the cute IP that maybe draws people in, and, Futureverse sort of provides the underlying infrastructure for whatever it is, whether it's explorers, the cool score system, etc. And you guys also mentioned this earlier, like technology really scales with the power of network effects, and you need more users to really take advantage of economies of scale, right? So whether it's Cool Cats or any of the other partnerships that Futureverse has, I know you guys have like Jaru and a bunch of other great brands that under your belt that you're partnered with. All of these are niches that provide, that culminate into an ultimately larger user base for this infrastructure. Let's say it's the root ecosystem, right? And then those potentially power, and enable these brands, say Cool Cats, to then be able to scale themselves synergistically. Hope that makes sense. I don't know. I kind of went on a tangent there, but
I think it definitely makes sense. Anyone that is building an IP-based project in the current Ethereum or insert whatever the chain that anyone's using right now to provide that experience, they're doing so with something that maybe is equivalent to the internet in like 1997. In other words, it works, but the infrastructure sucks. So everyone is dependent on infrastructure companies or companies that are working on building infrastructure to make the infrastructure better so that they can scale. Before that, internet users in 1998, for example, or people that were not internet users but were aware of what the internet was, like they would not believe that when you fast forwarded 25 years, everybody would depend on the internet every minute of their waking lives for every industry with no exceptions. That could be the future of blockchain, but not with the current infrastructure. So internet gradually became what it is as the infrastructure improved. And we can see something like that with blockchain technology over the next several years. We have two people with their hands up. Who's first?
I'll jump in. I was just going to say, Max, I think it's like, looking at, I've listened to Stephen Teglis talk about the IP strategy for Cool Cats and where that goes, and I think like there's two directions. One is like current Web3 brands that are being born on, inside Web3 through NFTs, and then existing big brands that have been around for decades, that are going to start to integrate the technology. And I think that's where the opportunity exists for Futureverse, is having built this platform, this technology stack, with the intention that it can scale, and seeing people like probably Reddit is a good example with how they've scaled their digital collectibles to a large amount of people without actually talking about the tech or the NFT side. And I just think that we're going to see things like, we're seeing Spotify. We know that Spotify's come in with Futureverse and some other projects, test casing these, their tech, how they can utilize the technology. And I think we're going to see, it's hard not to imagine them sitting around looking at options to basically be able to interact with their fans using different point systems, to access tickets and events and merch and all those type of things. And I think, those brands, when they're going to start to look for their Web3 solutions, are going to look for a platform where they can do that and build that with the technology that they don't need to do it themselves. And I think it was in the Twitter Spaces with Aaron and the Cool Cats team that I can't remember if it was Ken Cron or Stephen that mentioned it, but it's pretty obvious that if you wanted to try to dig into each company that's a part of the Futureverse and work out the amount of funding and time and complexity that it would take to build that tech stack, no one is going to do that. So if Futureverse has got the components that they have in the white paper put together, then it makes sense why they have the big companies talking to them. And I think we're going to see a combination of big companies from outside Web3 as well as big brands that were born and grew out of Web3 to start with.
So speaking of brands born out of Web3 to start with, Cool Cats is one of those brands that has this goal and a viable path towards mainstreaming. So that's pretty cool. Let's hear from Tasty before I talk too much.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to add on to your point earlier, Max, about I really like the analogy that you made using the internet. The way I almost sort of think about it is white labeling. And Blocks, what you said was really insightful too, in that, a 18-year-old who's on Reddit, who's collecting the avatars, may not even know the underlying technology behind what they bought, right? To them, it's just like, hey, I just bought an avatar, kind of like a skin I might have bought in Fortnite. And I could see that being the case, using sort of like kind of similar concept as like white labeling, right? Like somebody in the future may interact with some element of the Cool Cats ecosystem, not knowing that, what's powering it and the underlying technology is actually created by Futureverse / the Root Network. But for them, really, they just see like, hey, there's this cute blue cat / any other brand, right? There's a cute blue cat that I'm interacting with and doing my sort of things with. It might not even be for them, the experience might be abstracted from any sort of understanding of the blockchain or even collectibles or NFTs to begin with. Yeah.
Does anyone know?
It all comes back to kind of making the tech invisible, from what you just said.
Right, yeah. Another one that I've seen more recently and I need to look more into is Nike recently sort of debuted their .swoosh sort of project. and this is sort of mainline Nike, outside of what they're doing with the Artifact project that and CloneX project that they acquired a year ago. And so now you have, sneakerheads and or fans of Nike who are now, collecting digital posters and sort of like digital sneakers. And to them, this is completely, I took a quick swipe through and it's completely, there's no mention of blockchain or NFTs or wallets anywhere. Your .swoosh domain / user, like your handle is actually soulbound. And so I'm really curious to see, how this goes, right? In the future, right? Like, say Nike, if they were doing this endeavor in the future, they're not going to build their own infrastructure to launch their own platform of collectibles or what have you, right? It's more likely that they're going to buy or partner with an infrastructure or a product that they can get off the shelf, so they can focus on building the things that their team is actually good at, right? Like, Nike is not a technology company, right? They're like an athletics brand company. So let them focus on the athletics and the brand, and just utilize, some other service. It's kind of like Shopify, if you guys are familiar with that, right? Like, sure, let's say Adidas, right? They can build their own payment processing platform. But why would they, when they can just make the clothes to sell on it instead and just buy Shopify and use that as a service?
Yeah, I wish I would have signed up for the Nike thing. Didn't that launch today? Or like the initial allow list for it? I know it's kind of like an RNG system. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the .swoosh usernames have been enrolling now through Nike special events for the last 3 to 6 months. But yeah, the first drop of actually doing something with it was today. I think it was a poster that was airdropped to people that participated in their creator challenge over the last couple months to design your own sort of sneaker. You got a poster to commemorate that, and then I believe that gets you access to the first digital collectibles that they have, which is sort of like a mystery box shoe.
Amazing. Thank you for that explanation. Yeah, I think that's so bullish for the space and is a step towards mass adoption for sure. As far as like Max's question, I feel like all you gentlemen so beautifully articulated everything already. I don't really have much to add except, excited for the bunnies and the cats uniting, and I think that this meeting of the minds and sort of this partnerships is one of like values, and like being both in Futureverse and like Cool Cats now for like a couple of months. I can't remember when the journey started, but I know that we've been doing them since like the first one, and just taking a look at like the interface and the UI UX of everything, like it's very impressive, and I'm super excited for the future, and I encourage both of our communities to keep diving into each other's communities and keep like pushing for more cross community pollination, and excited to do more cool shit together. So
amen.
The larger the active communities are of these projects, the better the starting ground is for when the cool tech that enables mass adoption is delivered. It will be a richer experience if there's a bigger base.
I also pinned to the top the Gods and Goblin spaces from our resident Horde Lord, Captain KBD. He kind of broke down all things goblins on the spaces earlier today if you want to go listen to that. Or you can find more information on their site at godsandgoblins.com.
Did anyone else want to share some closing thoughts before we call it a night? Tasty, go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to say thanks for having us on your spaces. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to reach out to learn more about Cool Cats, and I know a lot of Cool Cats are doing the same, learning about the Futureverse ecosystem, being patient with us as we ask a lot of questions, as most of us are new to the Futureverse ecosystem. Just wanted to echo the same that Shay said earlier. Feel free to join in our community anytime. Want to offer you all the same warm welcome and invitation that you've given to us. And yeah, thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Fun.
Thanks, Tasty. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Tasty.
Yeah. Yeah, similar note. Thank you so much for having us. It was great to have some of you on our last spaces this past week, and some of you have been really helpful, both in the FLUF Discord and the Cool Cats Discord. Educating us on a lot of the extensive Futureverse collection. I definitely appreciate it. I've had some DMs from some folks to kind of help guide me through the collection. I'm still kind of making my way through things, but I do look forward to where this is going, and kind of that we're both at a time in both projects where they're both pretty mature, and is without some without like certain types of catalysts, it can be hard to kind of grow the community. But this partnership was really a great way to merge these two communities. So it's been great to really learn more about the Futureverse. I'll admit, like I really didn't know much until this partnership was starting to form, but it's been great. It's been fun. I found one of my IRL neighbors is into NFTs, and I had mentioned the FLUF, and they were excited for the partnership. They said that it was a project that they've kind of adored for, and looked up to for a long time. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to this. And then I appreciate you all. I might have to jump off soon if it's not ending, just because I think I'm going to have to help make dinner for my girls.
No, we're ending.
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely appreciate this. So I'll be rocking the ears for a little bit. I saw Twitter, got a notification that I might be getting verified soon, so it might be hard to, verify through their Twitter Blue system, but it might be hard to change the PFP. But I'll keep rocking.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. You're gonna have to rock it for a while until you're ready to submit to the gods.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, okay, should I change it now? But I'll keep the ears for a bit.
Psalm was for like 6 months. I don't know how long.
Yeah, it was bad. I got stuck as a white bubble, guys. It's really terrible. For like, probably 4 or 5 months, I think.
That was a lot.
It was
okay.
tough.
So thanks to our guests, Bun and Tasty, and also Merv and Greg and Mojave and everyone else that participated or that is listening. We'll be back next week with more Futureverse content, and you can listen to the recording of this show as soon as it's over, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and maybe consider watching one of my other videos. Bunnies up!